What's your lemonade stand story?
And he was like, YouTube's going to be the next big thing, Devin. Like, you need to get on that. You need to get on it early. And I'm like,
And all of us, we all go through our own trials, our own level of stuff.
Sure hope this works out. Otherwise, this will be a huge waste of time.
I mean, what else is it all about other than just taking risks and continuing to try and grow and hopefully get better and better at making things?
Most of the billion-dollar brands you've seen were started by people that were just solving a problem for themselves.
We're telling lemonade stand stories from some of the world's top creators, makers, and go-getters.
We're rolling right now.
Hey,
We're having fun. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this podcast today is sponsored by Yalla, a task management and team collaboration software that we use at Lemonade Stand. We use Yalla to keep all of our team members organized, wherever they are. In fact, we used it to plan and organize this podcast. Visit yalla.team, that's YALLA.team, and try it for free. We also have a special offer for all listeners of this podcast. Use promo code LEMONADE and get a lifetime 25% off if you upgrade. What is going on, guys? This is Charan Prabhakar with the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, and today is a very special day. It's a very special Monday. It's the day that we've all wanted for a very, very long time, even though no one actually voiced it out loud. It's been in our hearts for some time. It's the day when the master of the Lemonade Stand, Mr. Greg Trimble himself, decides to grace us with his presence and say, you know what, the time has come for me to do a podcast. Now, here's the thing. I got to tell you a quick story about Greg Trimble because he's such a delightful human being.
Thank you, Charan.
No, thank you, Greg. It's interesting because Greg and I met years ago, actually now, at BYU through a mutual friend, Taylor Halliburton, I believe. And we were kind of talking, and I'd known of you for some time because of your blogs and whatnot, and I just knew you were like a legendary guy. And you know what? You didn't disappoint.
Wow.
I'll just say that for sure.
You're the best, Charan.
It was the truth. So much so.
I got that $20 for you right after.
If you don't mind, just save it because I think inflation will help it. But what was cool, and you guys all need to hear the story because this is actually how the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast even started for me anyway. I decided last year during COVID, when COVID came out, 2020, I wanted to do like podcasts just for fun, just on Zoom, right? And I was just doing it with no other intention other than just to spread a little bit of light in the world and upload it on my Facebook and share a little bit of joy out there. And I called it Going the Social Distance. I felt like that was like the best thing for it. My buddy came up with that name. So we were doing it. But the last person I interviewed on that podcast, that version of the podcast, was Mr. Greg Trimble himself. Because while we were having this conversation and chatting, you asked me, Greg, you're like, Charan, what are you doing with these podcasts? And I said, oh gosh, I mean, just putting them on my Facebook. So at least 12 people have responded positively to it. Like they're just like, they're stoked about it, And he's like, okay, well, that sounds incredibly promising. And he says, but Charan, I run a digital marketing agency called the Lemonade Stand, and we've been wanting to have a podcast. Will you come and be the host of this podcast? And I'm like, what? It just shocked me to the core. I never even thought like my life could go in this direction. And what's cool is since then, and I've been doing it for like now a little over a year. We've had like some really cool guests on here, and it's been awesome.
We're almost up to 100 podcasts.
Up to 100 podcasts, right? Yeah. Almost up to 100. And like talking to some really cool people, having some really cool experiences, sharing some really cool stories. And I was just mentioning to you earlier today that there have been some really interesting feedback, some really positive feedback saying like, thank you so much. We love hearing the stories, and we are very excited for the future of what's to come. So thank you, Greg. Thank you for the opportunity to let me be here to talk to you. I want to pound this on this one.
Yeah, brother.
I hope it all recorded. But dude, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast of
Charan.
Your own digital marketing agency.
We get to enjoy your light and goodness
on
each podcast. It's a blessing.
Well, the blessing is mine because now I get to stare into your beautiful eyes and to talk about good things. But Greg, I want to talk about the beginnings of your life going into the world of marketing. Because I've always known you to be this person that has like a lot of light, but you found like really cool ways to share your light. And I know like the lemonade stand was not the first thing. Like you did other things before you came to here. So can we talk a little bit about like how you started with the whole marketing venture and then come down to here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started an IT company called Simple Tech. And
it's very exciting.
I mean, to make a long story short, because I don't want to spend too much time on that.
Yeah.
It's an IT company. We focus on cybersecurity and servers and networks. And
were you always like a techie? Did you just love it? Or
not really? I've always just been like a sports guy, you know. And I don't know how I got into that. I just started running the IT for my dad's CPA firm.
Yeah.
And then just started remotely managing networks in college.
Wow.
I wasn't paying attention to school very good. Sorry, professors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was doing that and it grew really quick. And it was it was nerd stuff, you know, it wasn't super exciting. And it grew really fast. And
did you like doing it though?
It was good until
it
became like a 24/7 thing.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
You know, people's networks have to always be up, and if they're without their email for too long, then they start freaking out, you know. And
for sure.
Anyway, it was what grew that is in those days none of my competitors did search engine optimization or any kind of internet marketing, and so I got into that early because I didn't want to go to like BNI groups and like exchange business cards and do all that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you're just trying to, in the early days, you're trying to grow and get clients and all that stuff.
When you're saying early days, like what year are we saying?
So this was about 2008.
Okay.
2009.
Okay.
And there weren't many of my competitors doing internet marketing. And so I started doing that early. So we started coming up on the first page of Google for everything that we needed to come up. And so it just within 3 years, it just exploded.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting to me, the engineering the internet to get people to call me and ask me to come fix their stuff instead of me like begging them. Yeah. Hey, can you hire me to fix your network? You know? And so we had so many leads, so many clients that we didn't know what to do. And I ended up not enjoying the IT side so much. I really enjoyed the marketing side because that was like a growth mindset, a proactive growth mindset.
Yeah.
And the IT side was more of a reactive, like I have a problem, come put out my fire, you know, kind of like I'm not an ER type person. I'd consider myself more of like, you know, a proactive surgeon or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that likes to grow and do things like that. So anyway, there's something that came out of that company that's the business side. It grew really fast. In 3 years, I ended up selling it and starting Lemonade Stand.
Oh, you started back then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. All right.
It's been close to 10 years now.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And, you know, the thing that I learned the most out of that company was it wasn't about like the finances or, you know, any of the stuff that we did. I think I call that business my successful failure because the thing that I failed on the most was building a culture. I did not pay attention to the culture. I just like built the business, figured out how we can service the clients, and I didn't focus in on the culture.
You didn't focus on the experience.
It was horrible. It was horrible. The culture was horrible. And you know, I ended up just every day waking up like thinking, what am I doing? Like not wanting to go to work, not wanting to do what I was doing, not necessarily because of the work, but because I hadn't focused on building a good culture.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot to dive into there. Yeah. There's tons to dive into. Well, it's interesting because, you know, we've talked about this on the podcast a lot, but like, you know, being in the film industry, I'm like I get a chance to like work on a lot of different sets.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of different sets. And one thing for sure I know is
there's a difference between each culture.
Every set has its own culture.
Each director, each producer, all the actors, actresses.
Yes. And I remember like one of the most intense shows I've ever acted in LA was a show called Criminal Minds. But what I loved about that was the set was so kind. Everyone was so kind to each other. And the director and you have what's called the first AD, and they're the ones that are like running the show and like kind of making sure everything is going and moving fast. And usually the first AD is like a very intense person, very type A intense, like kind of yelling, saying, guys, we have to go, we have to go, we have to go. But the first AD on this show was a woman who was so kind and so gentle. Everyone just wanted to listen to her.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's so cool.
And I remember like grabbing them both and I said, you guys, you've taught me so much. You have no idea, because now that I see the way you've run this ship, this is what I want to do when I create my own culture and my own sets and stuff. So talk to me a little bit about how you started creating the culture for Lemonade Stand, because I know everyone here that I've talked to that works at Lemonade Stand loves working at Lemonade Stand. So
yeah. I think for me, I started to realize that if I'm miserable having started that company because of the culture, then I can't imagine how much more miserable the people are that were there.
Yeah.
So I think, the reason I call it my successful failure was because I learned so much from that failure, because I truly believe, even though it wasn't a failure financially, it was a failure of mine in life.
Wow. Yeah.
And honestly, I think the biggest, the thing I regret the most, and not that it's a regret, because you learn at every turn in life. But I think the biggest mistake that I made in that first business was that it was a business first, people second business.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think the key, especially in the days that we live in right now, is to always be a people first, business second.
Yeah.
And I think if you care more about the culture and more about the people, then the business will take care of itself. Finances will take care of themselves. And I just think the quality of life for people is more important than anything.
Well, it's so interesting because I've known, ever since I've known you and I've known about Lemonade Stand, it's always about like serving your clients, serving the people, like, hey, what do you guys need? Like, what can we do to help you out with? Right.
Yeah.
And like that type of mindset allows for a lot of people to be like, oh, wow. Like I feel like I can just kind of relax around you guys. And, and I've noticed that a lot of the clients feel that same way. They're just like, wow, like around Lemonade Stand, we can just kind of relax and kind of just cater to, then they'll just cater to us. And one of the things I've also noticed is like, you're not a typical marketing agency, because you kind of just become a marketing arm for a bunch of different clients, where it's not like, oh, we're hiring our agency. It's almost like you're a part of their company. So how does that work? As opposed to like being an agency saying, hey, here's our standard fees and this is what we'll do, versus, hey, how can we best serve you and be your marketing arm? Yeah.
That's a part of our culture, I think, throughout the entire thing, is that we want to be an integral part of everyone that we deal with.
Yeah.
Both internally and externally. So both clients and people that we work with.
Yeah.
We want to be a part of their lives and help in any way that we can.
Yeah.
So, I think that's just really the approach is we want to partner with people on the things that they do and not look at it as, again, people first. Like a business represents people, which represents families, which represents kids, which represents dreams, which represents all of these things that are really in the end more important than that commoditized transaction. Like, do this, get this. And so we try to go the extra mile and figure out, what can we do to actually make a difference in their life rather than just fulfill a service.
like then getting a transaction, right? Which a lot of companies do, like they're just about the money, right? I remember my agent in LA, And I love her to death, but she said like the first thing she said was like, hey, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
And like that's like how she led with. She's like, it is about making money. Yeah. It's about, and like that was how they moved. And it was interesting because in that type of thing, it wasn't about building my career as much as it was like, hey, what's going to get us the money the quickest, right? So how did you gain this perspective? Because a lot of people have that same mindset as the agent, right? So how did you go about the perspective of like, no, I want to be a man of service?
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. I think some of it is just like getting older and maybe it's just trying to learn. I've tried to become like what I consider a greatest hits of people, like to take the good and apply it, take the bad and discard it. Yeah. And find out really what is most important to me and then to others in life. Yeah. And I think, you know, I don't know. I'm sure there's been others that have been on this podcast, so I'm probably going to contradict things that they've said or other business podcasts. Yeah. But you know, you get a lot of time where it's just like, bro, we gotta go crush it, man. Just get rich and get a jet, and you know, and it's like,
I hope you always please talk like that for a long time. That'd be so good.
That'd be hard to do for the whole podcast.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Yeah,
but you know, that's a lot of people. I hear that from people all the time, even to this day, and that's their mentality is like, I just want money. I just want money. That's it. I just want to make more money. I want to make more money than the next person, you know. And what is it for? And they say, oh, well, it's for security. You know, I want to feel secure. I don't want to have to worry about money. Another thing is a lot of people will say, well, I want to get money so I can help people. Right? I want to help people. Yeah. That's a huge one. There I was like, oh, if I made $1 million, I'd help so many people.
So many people.
Check this out. I had this story about this guy.
Yeah.
And he wanted, you know, to start up this nonprofit organization that helped a lot of people, right? But he said, you know, I need all these people to get together. And he said, like, if I was really successful, if I made a lot of money, then I would be able to help all these people. Well, I've known this guy many years, and he ended up becoming really successful, multimillionaire. And then when it was time to help people, it was like, let me go raise money from other people so that they can fund this organization to help people. Yeah. And it's like,
and he didn't put his money himself to
but not, you know, not what he could. And I think that happens with a lot of people where they start out with a good desire, a good ambition to help a lot of people with all the money that they make. But then somewhere along the way, their true desire, their true passion to help people sort of gets clouded by all of these temporal things, like, well, I made a bunch more money. Well, I got to get a bigger house. Yeah, I mean, I need a boat. I mean, that's only $200,000. I got to have it throw the biggest wave,
and you got to keep your money safe. Like,
and I got my neighbors got to see that I got the best boat. Yeah, and then I also need this. Oh, and I also need a second home. But at the end of the day, you don't have any time or money because you're so busy managing all the assets that you've accumulated. Yeah. And paying the interest and the credit and everything that you need in order to keep your lifestyle going. And then you don't have any time to help people the way that you initially wanted. And so that's a huge, huge thing. There's a scripture that I love that says, if you'll work and do all these things so that you'll be able to bless the poor and you know, help the needy and do all these good things for people, then that's a righteous desire. That's a righteous thing to do. But if you don't, you're going to find yourself in this hamster wheel of like always needing more so that you can feed your next temporal, exciting venture that you're going to do.
You know, it's so interesting. I want to kind of tackle this topic a little bit because I think it's a very important thing to talk about, because I've seen this a lot. The comparison game of like, who's got the most money, who's got the most assets, who's got the coolest thing, and who's got the coolest whatever. And it's interesting because you said like initially their desire was something different.
So many people start out with a good desire.
With a very good desire. Somewhere along the line, things change, you know? And it can be something as small as like that frog boiling in water analogy, right? Where it's like a little bit of things are changing. Like, well, now that we have this, we got to take care of this, and now that we got that, we got to take care of that, right? But one of the things, like, you know, you and I are both like men of faith, and one of the things, like when I pray about it, like I have this feeling that says like we sometimes suffer from a limited experiencing body. So what that means to me is that we experience very little of what God really wants to give us. And when I say that, it's like our lives sometimes get so dang busy with all of these things, like all of these material things that we now suddenly possess, that we don't have time to like really experience the joy of the simple things, you know? Whereas,
but when you get done, but you think that at the end of the day, when you have all these things, that you're going to be able to help people.
Yes.
But just like what you're saying, you get too busy.
You get too busy to do it, you know? And it's interesting because helping people can be as simple as like just opening the door for someone, or just smiling at someone, just like, hey, just saying, hey, you having a good day? Like just connecting to people like truly on a very personal level. And that doesn't really require a lot of money. You know, and sometimes people feel like they need to have like this huge grandiose thing so they can like save the world. But in reality, it's like, well, how's your family? Are you taking care of your family? You know, like, are you loving your family?
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. And
I think that's what it boils down to for me. You asked what kind of caused this shift.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it was necessarily a shift for me, but it was just more of a progression in learning. There's, you know, I hate to quote too many scriptures for you, but
do it.
There's a scripture that I love that says, so there's this man, and he's getting old, he's about to die, and he brings all of his family around him. His name is Jacob, and he says this one thing. He says, "Our lives passed away as it were unto us a dream." And I felt that, you know, like it's like a blink, and I'm getting old, you know, and like, who knows what's going to happen to me, right?
Yeah.
So you start with the most foundational question that you can ask is like, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you truly want in life? Is it $1 million? Is it $1 billion? And then you ask yourself why, and will that fulfill you? And will you be happy? What do you want now? And then what do you want to feel when you lay your head down on your pillow for the last time?
Yeah.
And you've heard the saying, you know, you've never seen them towing a hearse towing a U-Haul.
Yeah.
You know, like you came into this world with nothing. You're going to take nothing out of it other than the experiences and the knowledge and the integrity and the things that you've gained throughout your life.
Yeah.
And so if you go back to that question is, what do you want? Like for me, it was all that I really want is to be a hero to my wife and my kids, and for them to respect me, and for me to have taken every opportunity I could to help people along the way. And I think that's really what's driven everything, because I don't feel like you can separate business and personal.
Yeah.
And so we've made that a huge part of our business, is to help people continually along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you take someone like Mother Teresa, right?
Yeah.
She wasn't loaded. She didn't have $1 million, you know, an annuity somewhere that she was drawing money and helping all these people. Like, you can help people all along the way. You don't have to wait until you hit a certain, you know, net worth. Income. I'm like, okay, you know, now's the time. Okay, now's the time. I have enough that I can spare.
Yeah.
If you take that mentality, you're most likely not going to do what you had intended if you take that mentality. Yeah. But if you take the day to day, you know, hey, I can tip this person at the drive-thru, or this waiter or waitress. I can tip him or her an extra $20. Yeah. Might change their day. I see someone on the side of the road, I can help them.
Yeah.
And so like, that's one of the biggest things that we've implemented here at Lemonade Stand is, and one of the things that's most exciting to me is it's called Build Them Bless.
Yeah.
And so each Friday on our lunch and learns, so each of our team members get a certain amount of money to spend each month on hand-to-hand, face-to-face, positive interactions where they can go do something, buy a pair of shoes for someone, pay for someone's meal, whatever it is, that they feel inspired to help somebody. And so our entire company is continually outward focused.
I love that.
Has nothing to do with, you know, we're not going to like get business out of it, you know, for the most part. And it's just, it gives us an opportunity to keep in the forefront of our minds every single day, every single week, as part of our profession, as part of our career, that we are going to serve people.
I love that.
And bring light to people and bring smiles to faces and do things for others that they can't do for themselves. And that's really driven everything that we do.
It's so awesome, man. I mean, I remember I was with some friends of mine in California, and for whatever reason, whenever like I would get like Chinese food and I get like the Fortune from Fortune Cookies, I just keep them. I don't know why. I would just like shove them in my wallet. And we were in, I think, Orange County, and a homeless guy came up to us and asked us for some money. And I had no money on me, but I'm like, you know what? I don't have any money, but I can give you a Fortune. And he's like, wait, what? and so then I'm like, I like whipped out like this whole stack of like Fortunes, and I'm like, pick one, my friend, you know? And it was funny because my friends and I were all there, and this guy thought it was the greatest thing. He was laughing so hard. He's like, oh my gosh.
Probably the first time anybody's ever done
no
that.
one's given him a Fortune before. So he's like, okay. He's like, so he's like slowly reading each one. I'm like, yeah, whichever one you'd like, you know? And he like picked one. But more than money, more than that was his experience of a positive interaction.
Yeah.
That's what he really was craving.
Yes.
And he loved it.
Yeah.
And we were all like laughing and joking with him, and just like had like a really good conversation. And then we're like, dude, like, and at the end, like he was so happy. Like that was it, you know? And I realized like, dude, even more than money, even more than like saying, okay, this is great. Like take this and like enjoy $5 or something.
They just want to be recognized.
They want to be recognized.
They just want to feel like somebody sees them, that somebody cares about them. And that's why it's a big reason why we do this on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And not just some like, okay, we're going to stand in front of a poster and hold this gigantic $50,000 check so we can take our picture and get a write-off, you know, that kind of deal.
Because then it becomes about you again.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's those hand-to-hand, face-to-face interactions that we can, in whatever small way as a company, as individuals, we can show people that they matter.
Yes. That
we care about them, that they're recognized, that they're seen, that they're not invisible to the world, because that's the biggest pandemic that's going on right now.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Is the people in this world feel worthless, unrecognized, and unimportant. And if we can do that, that's going to be even more important than the Big Mac that we get them, or whatever.
It's so amazing
thing we do.
I used to do, I've done this before, and I forgot about it, but like, try this out next time when you go like order some fast food or something, or you go up to like the line, when they're like, hey, what can I get for you? I'm like, well, actually, I just want to know how you're doing. And like, I'm like, I mean, I guess I'll order food since I'm here, but I really want to know how you're doing, you know? I've done that a couple of times, and it takes them back a little bit, because it like jars them out of like this robotic thing that they're used to. But then I don't actually order until they answer me, you know? Like, I'm like, no, I really want to know how you're doing, you know? And it's very interesting because...
Very few people do that, Charan, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
And it's surprising
That's
me.
why it's so... That's why it's so hard for them to go to work every day.
Yeah.
Because they're looked at as a cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
As a machine. Give me my food. People treat like food people, waiters, waitresses, they treat them like garbage, man. Like, give me my stuff. Like it's
like some weird entitlement thing, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I noticed Derek, who's been on the podcast.
Yeah. Derek Miner.
Derek,
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
But I notice when we go out to eat, every single time, especially during the pandemic, since a lot of people just, you know, aren't working, and he takes the time to thank whoever takes his order, whoever is working. He just says, I just want to thank you for working.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Like,
yeah.
Just so small, but it's recognizing somebody for the effort that they're doing.
It's so great. It's so great. I often, when I order food sometimes, when I ask them for like recommendations and stuff, if I order something that they haven't tried, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I will order it. Try some of mine. Like come by and see my food. And they're like, wait, no, we can't do that. I'm like, no, but I'll just save leftovers for you or something. Yeah. But the thing is like, if you can kind of make it like an adventure. Like I remember something that we've discussed this before, but like, you know, we both served LDS missions, and on my mission, I remember there was this missionary that told me something that like really changed not just my mission, but I think my life, honestly. Yeah. I had been struggling, well, just not struggling, but it was more like, you know how like, especially when you get out there, you're like, and you see how hard the work is, you're like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? And, you know, I was having one of those days, and it happened to be a preparation day, which is one of those days where you get to like rest and kind of write letters and relax a little bit.
Whatever that means,
you know?
Not much rest.
Yeah, not much rest. But this particular day, this elder and I were out, and we went to go play Frisbee and stuff and hanging out. And I said, because I always knew him to be like a really positive elder, like fun-loving elder. And he had definitely served a lot longer than I had. And I asked him, and I said, how do you make the time go faster? Because like, this is hard. And like, sometimes I look up at night at the sky, and I'm just like, is this ever going to end? And I'm only 2 months into this, you know? This is like a 24-month deal. How do you make the time go by faster? And he's like, you know, one of the things I did is like, I decided, instead of thinking about that, I just focused on making every day a great day. I'm like, really? And I'm like, how'd you do that? He's like, I just kind of focused on like just having a lot of fun and like just doing good every single day and just like really enjoying every day. And what happened is, as I started doing that, I ended up having a way better experience, and the time went by really fast. I'm like, really? And I don't know, for whatever reason in my 19-year-old brain, that clicked for me. And so I'm like, okay, I need to shift my perspective a little bit. And so I decided to make every day a good day. And so I would look for ways to make it a little extraordinary. So instead of the normal, like, okay, this is the regular transaction that someone's going to get, I would try to go out of my way to, and this wasn't even like just preaching the gospel. It was just like being nice to people, you know, and like being kind and being positive, which I think I always was, but I think I kind of like really like focused on it. Yeah. And what I noticed was everything magically changed. Just that one simple act, everything changed. And all of a sudden I was like praying that the time would slow down. I'm like, stop it. Like it's going too fast, you know? And then before I knew it, I was done. Yeah. And that was like 20 years ago, you know? And so I think... And
you're still living that life today.
I hope so.
I mean, that advice is so important. Yeah. It's funny how when you're talking, I'm thinking about how many people are actually asking themselves that question literally right now. Yeah. How can I make the time go faster? They're at their job, they're at their house, they're whatever they're doing, they're sitting there asking themselves like, my life... This is hard. Yeah. This sucks. Like, how can I make the time go faster?
For sure.
You know? And it's like, that's all you need is a mindset shift. It's funny. I was thinking about a core value that we have. It's our first core value at Lemonade Stand. And it's literally just simple. It's smile. Like, how do you make the time go faster? Smile. Yeah. And make others smile. When I was in college, we used to, and this is how this core value came to be. We would always go to the drive-thru at McDonald's to get, you know, a couple of those little sponge burgers and the drug-laced fries, you know, that are so
this is very, very telling of you, Greg. And,
but go on. You know, and a Coke and so we would go through there, and usually at fast foods, it's not always, people aren't always that happy,
Yeah.
And on the McDonald's menu board, it said on there that smiles were free. So we ordered our stuff, and I said, wait, and can we also have a side of smiles on the
Yes.
Can we have some smiles on the side?
Yes.
And so we get up to the window, and there were no smiles.
No way.
And so we got the food, and we were like, okay, we can we have our smiles too?
Yeah. You asked them.
And the lady was so taken. I don't even know if she knew that it was on the board. And like, what are you talking about? We're like, it said smiles are free on the menu board.
Yeah.
And she laughed so hard. And,
it's so good.
And like just immediately her day shifted. Her
completely shifted,
day,
right?
Our day, like we laughed and we smiled. And like those are the sort of things, those are sort of opportunities that we can look for.
Yeah.
But like if you spend every day, like, how can I figure out how to bring a smile to someone else's face?
Yeah.
Your day is going to go infinitely faster and is going to be infinitely better.
Yes.
And when you get to the end of your life, you're going to have infinitely more friends.
Yeah.
Infinitely more people that care about you and that you care about as well.
And you realize like that's what being rich really means.
And that's what being rich really means.
Yeah. It's
not about business. It's not about lemonade stand. It's not about any other business in Utah that's raising hundreds of millions of dollars. No. At the end of the day, who is helping others, improving their quality of life and creating lots of smiles? That's what matters.
And it's oh my gosh, dude, like we could just end right there. That was amazing. Like I was thinking about what you were saying regarding the smiles. I went to Chick-fil-A recently, and I love the way they do things at Chick-fil-A, because like the people are outside, like they're talking to you as you're ordering on the drive-through.
Yeah.
And so I ham it up with them, of course, every single time I have to. I mean, like, how could I not?
It's Chick-fil-A.
It's Chick-fil-A. You have to. So I'm just like joking around. And I ordered like their frosted lemonade and all this stuff because I had to. And anyway, they were laughing because they were just like, because I just kept cracking jokes with them. And then as I left, my friend who was with me, she's like, oh, I should have gotten another frosted lemonade from my brother. So I'm like, let's just go back in line. Let's just do it. And then I came back around and I'm like, hey, we're back. Uh-huh. We forgot to order another frosted lemonade, but we're back. And they looked at us and they're like, you know what? This one's on the house.
That's so cool.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, no way. And they were like, yep, we're gonna take care of this one for you. Like, just because like we had like this positive interaction, right?
Yeah.
And so it really is. It's like you can make ordinary moments extraordinary.
Yeah.
If you're focusing on helping people genuinely smile.
Yes. Can we do a block quote on that?
We should.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Branson, did you have a good experience at So Delicious when you picked that up for me?
I did.
You did? Were they smiling?
They were.
Okay.
Nice.
We'll tag So Delicious. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, So
Sponsored
Delicious.
by So Delicious.
Thank you, So Delicious. So I want to shift.
Businesses that smile succeed.
Wait. Businesses that smile
Businesses
succeed.
that smile succeed.
That's another one, Greg. Oh man, this podcast is gonna be chock full of like quotes. So I want to shift topics just a little bit. Now, we talked about the pandemic, and we talked about like the real pandemic is that people feel invisible. And there's been a dramatic shift in the world. And I think things are getting even more intense and more polarizing and stuff. In your own life, has there been a moment where a shift happened in you where you're like, this was a really hard blow. How am I going to switch it around and turn this into like a really positive experience for me?
Yeah. You're talking kind of a lemonade stand moment, lemons to lemonade. I would actually say during the right when the pandemic hit, we had just hired some people. Derek Miner.
Yep.
Hi, Derek. I had come on board.
Yeah.
And it was I think it was like March 9th that he started.
Yeah.
Came on board. And then like 2 days later,
the world shut down.
The news, like world, like games are being canceled and the world shut down. And, everybody, we were all just, I remember us sitting up there and we're like, we have to buckle down, and I remember going home and telling my wife, and I'm like, hey, you know, we're going to have to cancel all the kids' music lessons. I don't know, like you may have to get a job. Like we, you know, we're going to have to do what we got to do to scrape.
Yeah.
And because we lost, and what we didn't want to do was need to lay people off. And as a business, we've tried to be, you know, frugal and keep ourselves in a good position so that we wouldn't ever have to do that. Yeah. And I wanted to take the brunt of whatever it was so that we wouldn't have to do that. Yeah. And so that we could keep going and keep people employed and keep the business alive during this span of time. And so I was ready, like whatever we got to do, like if we got to mortgage the house, if we got to do whatever. And that was really hard because you're going along and you're making such good progress. The economy was good. We were growing really well. And we thought it was done. I mean, we had 2 or 3 like significantly bad months. We lost like over 30% of our revenue and clients, our monthly revenue. And we were trending downward really fast. And I remember that moment to where we've built such a good culture and such a good team that so many key people at the company came to me and was like, Greg, hey, what I need to do, like in order to keep this person on board, to bring this person on board, to do this, to do that. Some of our highest level people, they said, hey, what do I need to take pay cuts? I'll take pay cuts. I'll take pay cut. Let's keep this thing alive. Let's keep the culture going. Whatever we got to do, let's do it. And I just remember feeling a part of a team. I mean, I don't ever want to sell this company. I don't ever want to work like in another company. Yeah. Like I want this team to stay together until I'm that guy that lays his head on the pillow and is like, our lives passed away as it were. It's just a dream. And knowing that I'm with these same people that have that same mentality and we're aligned in our standards and values and what we want as a culture and out of life, like that was really exciting because it's during those times that you're able to really see what people are like, you know?
Yeah,
like you can see, you realize when the times get tough.
Yeah. Are they banding together?
You can see who people are and what they're made of. Yeah. And then that helps you when, you know, the rest of that year got a lot better and we were able to come out of it together. Yeah. And so like Stephen Covey used to teach about the speed of trust. Like you imagine the kind of trust that we have now as we were able to see what people were like when things got really tough. We can do anything together. It's
so good. And it's so perfect. I mean, the thing is like you guys, and I really think it came to that culture that you built, you know, of people where they're like, you know what, we're in this together and we're going to build this together, you know? And I love that. Cause it's like, you know, you're in the refiner's fire at the time. Right. But you're being forged together. Yeah. And I think it's awesome. So just a couple more questions for you. You know, we talked about all kinds of different things. We talked about the pandemic. We talked about doing service. What is it that truly brings you joy right now?
I think, you know, that's an easy question for me and my family for sure. Yeah. You know, and I would extend that to our team here too. There's all kinds of idiots on LinkedIn that they're like, don't call your team members your family. Like I don't ever call one of our team members an employee. I don't look at anybody like an employee here. I don't feel like they work for me. We work for the clients. Yeah. We work for each other. Nobody works for me. I just happen to help facilitate all the administrative transactions to make sure everybody gets paid. And
that's the exciting stuff, right?
And that we keep going and that we maintain the culture that we have. But there's no employees here. We're team members, all built around a culture that each of us have agreed upon and that bring us joy. And so, you know, being able to see the relationship between me and my wife grow, the relationship between me and my kids and all of us as a family, to see them grow and learn a culture of giving and service. Those are the things that bring me joy. But then to extend that to our company, to our team, I'm telling you, and you can ask, like, if you were to interview team members, you could ask Branson over here.
Yeah.
Hey, Branson.
Hi, Branson. Call out. Yeah.
I'm telling you, people will express that probably their favorite time of the work week is on Friday at about 12:30.
Yeah.
Mountain time. We have people all over the country, and we all come together, and we tell stories about the various things that we're able to just serve people throughout the week. And that's probably one of my favorite times of the week, easily, because I get to see our team members come together and share stories that have helped them grow and helped them become better people and helped other people become better people. And just watching that, I'm just so proud. I sit there and watch it, and I'm like there's some weeks that I'm just like literally like in tears, I gotta kind of hide myself because I don't want to be like that guy, but and I know it's happened for other people where they're just like, that is the best time of the week, that we get to see each other grow. And I think seeing that good progress and that good growth is something that brings me a lot of joy right now.
I mean, that to me, it's like ripples in a pond, right? You throw a rock and then like it just sends ripples, and it's like doing that kind of service, it just sends ripples everywhere.
Yeah.
Because then you empower somebody else to go do something kind. Yeah. And you empower somebody else to go do something kind,
Let me elaborate on that too, because not everybody at our company believes in God. Yeah. That's one of the things we really love. We have a diversity of people. Yeah. Every type of person, that you can think of works here with different backgrounds, and whatever people believe in, whether they're agnostic or whatever it is. I happen to believe in a God that tells me to love God and to love others. Those are the two great commandments. Right. And then you say, well, how do I show God that I love him? Well, I have to love others. Right. I show him that I love him by loving others. Yeah. And I mean, that's what brings people joy. It's like a simple thing, but I see it in others as they love others. Yeah. Then they find joy in their life too. I love it. I have this thing I learned when I was in college playing baseball. About, I was complaining about something, and the coach came to me and he's like, "Hey, Trimble, why are you complaining?" And then he said, there's two types of people in this world. Yeah. He said there are fountains and there are drains. Okay. Which one are you? Okay, I like that. And I was like the captain of the team, and all the teammates were standing around me, and he just punked me right there in the dugout, and he just walked away. Yeah. And I just I just was ashamed, I went and sat down, and I was like, that's never left me. Yeah. Like, every day that I wake up, what am I going to be? Yeah. Am I going to be a fountain, or am I going to be a drain? Am I going to love people, or am I going to hate people? You make that choice every single day of your life. And nobody wants to be around drains. Yeah. Everyone comes and wants to be around fountains, take pictures with fountains, throw pennies at fountains, throw nickels at fountains. Yeah. I love that, dude. That's a good analogy. Now, I was going to ask you what your greatest fear is, but I think I almost now know that you don't ever want to be a drain, Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My biggest fear is just not doing the things that I should do in life, as far as like living up to my potential. Yeah. Not my potential to make money, not my potential to buy a big house, not my potential to own a cool boat. Yeah. Not that I'm not, people want to do that. That's great. It's great. But I think keeping things in balance, like if you're going to do those things, make sure that you balance it with other things. And that's really it. And I love that. Not living up to my full potential and wasting my time and ability to bless others with the time that I have when I'm on this earth. Yeah. Oh man. So good. So good. Well, I got one final question for you. What is it? Right? Yeah. Knowing what you know now,
knowing that you're that much closer to lying your head on that pillow, you know,
every day, every sip
Cindy,
of the soda
every sip of Cindy, you're that much closer. What would you tell that baseball captain? You know, what would you go and tell him when he was having the fit? Let's say the coach didn't show up.
Yeah.
What would you tell that baseball captain?
Yeah. Looking back, I would say to not. So there's another. Sorry.
No,
this is why my mind thinks of these.
Good, go.
These quotes, but Christ once said to not strain at a gnat and swallow a camel.
Okay.
Do you know what that means? Come on, Charan.
Yeah.
Come on, Charan. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just like, you know, like the weightier matters of the law type of thing. Like it's kind of like the idea of like, don't make a big, like a mountain out of a molehill or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To not live your life fretting over all these little things that don't matter.
Yeah.
But to keep my mind, I would tell myself to keep my mind always focused on the things that matter.
Yeah.
Because you know that's what's wrong with the world today. There's so many people fighting, causing issues over things that don't matter.
Yeah.
When they could fix all of their problems by waking up every day.
Yeah.
Asking how they could go help somebody else and figure out how to help them smile.
Yeah.
And it would make them happy in the process. And so I think the times that I would try to minimize the mistakes that I've made and minimize the times that I've been down or let myself become a drain by keeping my mind focused on those
things.
Dude,
I mean, I love it. Like, do you know who the comedian Brian Regan is?
Yeah.
By chance? Okay, you know, I think the guy's hilarious. And he had this thing that made me laugh, and I was thinking about even today, but he was saying like, you know, there's like, he saw like a 3 or 4 year old at a park, and he had a balloon and he lost his balloon.
Yeah.
And he started freaking out and crying, you know, and the parents like, don't worry about it. We'll get you another one. Like, they're like being like, so, you know, he's like, look, imagine that your wallet was attached to like something and it like started floating away. Of course you start freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, that's the one I want. I want that wallet, you know?
Yeah.
And it was this whole idea of like, you know, we start freaking out over these like these things that are very, very important to us and stuff like that. But when you remove yourself back further and further, you're like, whoa, that did not matter at all. And so sometimes I have like this kind of a weird out of body experience where I'm like looking at society outwardly and being like, wait, what? Wait, why are we fighting again?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know? And you're right. It's just like, sometimes I feel like I'm just like sitting back and eating popcorn with Jesus, just being like, wow, I did not see this one going down, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, hey, let's just get back to the basics.
Yeah.
Let's go make someone smile and serve someone. And you'll find that that's the answer to pretty much everything anyway.
Yeah.
You know? So
I've got a cool book recommendation before we close.
Yes.
It's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It's by Dale Carnegie.
Okay.
A lot of people have read, you know, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because they're like, if I read that, then I'm going to become rich and have tons of friends and influence people. And most people don't know about that other book. And I actually think that book is more impactful, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Because I mean, that's what I want for myself and for my family and for the Lemonade Stand family. Like, people say don't call your business family. I don't care what they say. Like, these are my people. I love them.
It's so awesome.
And I want the best for them. I just feel blessed every day
dude, it's so good
to be able to hang out with all these people.
I mean, I worry so much about how little you worry, you know? I'm just kidding. No,
I worry. That's why I say that book is good because
right?
I've spent my life worrying about stuff. Like, you say, hey, what can you go back and tell your teenage self or whatever? I'd be like, dude, your life is short. Don't spend it worrying about stuff that doesn't matter. Don't spend your life comparing yourself against people on Facebook or Instagram or against your friend that, you know, did something that made them a ton of money. You don't even know what they're going through in life. You think your life is horrible compared to theirs, and you have no idea that their life is horrendous. Every single day of their life, they hate their life.
Yeah.
And yet you're over here and you have a great life.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there thinking that they have a better life than you because you're in this hamster wheel of comparison.
Yeah.
So stop worrying, start living, make people smile.
Realize like what really fulfills you is not those things, you know?
Exactly.
Well, Greg, I appreciate it, man. Like, this is so wonderful to have the master of the lemonade stand just grace us from his humble abode.
No, no master.
No, seriously though.
It's our team. It's
been so good. And thank you for creating a team. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to even be a part of the team and to be a host of this podcast. Cause it's been, I always tell everyone, and you're including as well, like, being a podcast host has been like the best form of therapy I've ever had. It's been unbelievable because the advice that people give me, I'm like, that is exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
So
You've
thanks.
Been great.
Yeah, I know. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, brother.
Okay. Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much and have a great day.